Life in Nazi Germany, Part 2. Nazis and Christianity. So, once again, Hitler tried to interfere with people's lives by stepping into religion. Hitler thought that it was a problem that many Catholics owed their first allegiance to the Pope instead of Hitler. Also, Christians believed in peace, respect, and tolerance, while the Nazis taught racial superiority and violence. So, the Church and the Nazis reached an agreement in July 1933 called the Concordat. So, Hitler agreed to not interfere with affairs in the Church, such as interfering with freedom of worship for Catholics and interfering with Catholic schools in Germany. And the Catholic Church, in turn, will also agree that they would not interfere with Hitler's affairs and would not interfere with people's lives. But Hitler didn't keep his promise, and as the 1930s went on, priests were arrested, imprisoned, and thrown into concentration camps. Catholic youth activities at the Catholic Youth League were banned and replaced with the Hitler Youth. By 1937, the Pope realized this and he issued a statement called With Burning Anxiety, where he criticized the Nazis. Persecution of the Jews. So, already before Hitler came to power, there was a very strong anti-Semitic view in Germany. So, Hitler set out his racial views in Mein Kampf in 1925 when he got out of jail. So, he claimed that the Jews were subhuman and they were the worst of the worst and unworthy of life. So, it began in 1933 where Nazis boycott the Jewish businesses and banned Jews from government jobs. And on 15th of September 1935, the Nuremberg laws were passed. This meant that Jews could no longer be German citizens and lost the right to vote, hold German passports, and marry German citizens. On 7th November 1938, a Polish Jew in Paris shot a German in the German embassy. A wave of anger swept Germany, and on 9th and 10th November, gangs smashed up Jewish property and attacked Jews. At least 100 Jews were killed, and many homes, synagogues, and shops were destroyed as a result of this day. As a result, this event was called Kristallnacht, or the Night of the Broken Glass. This increased persecution even further for the Jews. By 12th November 1938, 20,000 Jews had been sent to concentration camps. Persecution increased in 1939. Jews increasingly emigrated outside of Germany, and they were also sent into ghettos, just rounded up and sent into particular areas of the country. For young people. So, Hitler introduced the Hitler Youth, which was for 10 to 14 years old boys, and the Young Maidens, which was for girls. Both youth groups featured fitness, camping, hiking, and cooperation to introduce teamwork. Boys and girls had different style activities, however, again. Boys learned how to shoot rifles, how to read maps and marching drills, while girls learned how to set up camps, how to cook and be a good mother. And even schools at this time were changed to fit these ideas. Maths were changed so that they also could be used for Nazi propaganda. And girls had different lessons. They learned how to do domestic jobs such as cooking and needlework. So this was an attempt by Hitler to control young people's lives. They changed youths by introducing youth movements, so the Nazis would take up more of their time and they could feed them Nazi ideas. And in general, for women in Nazi Germany in 1933 to 1939, their position in society changed a lot. Since the 1920s, women had a lot of social freedom. Just like America, the Roaring Twenties brought a lot of freedom for women. They were allowed to vote and they were allowed to work. However, by the time the Nazis gained power, they had a very, very big change in their ideology. They changed back to the traditional view of women, where German women should be good mothers to stay healthy and learn how to be a domesticated mother. So they believed in the 3 Ks, Kinder, Kusch, and Kirch, which stood for children, kitchen, and church. Many professional women were forced to leave their jobs to become mothers and wives. This was especially emphasized in Nazi Germany when the birth rate was falling. The Nazis wanted to reverse this and have a more productive working force, so in 1933, the law for the encouragement of marriage was introduced. Loans of 1,000 marks, which was worth a wage of 9 months, were given to mothers as long as they gave birth and they left their work. Lebensborn was another policy to encourage childbirth. They let single women be fertilized by Aryan men. The Mother's Cross was also introduced as a way to reward women for giving birth to large families. The gold medal, bronze medal, and silver medals were all given to mothers who gave birth. Work and employment in 1933 to 1939. So the Nazis set up the German Labour Front, the DAF. It regulated wages and working conditions. The DAF served as a replacement to the trade unions and made it so that employers could not exploit their workers. The RAD was also set up in 1933. It was called the National Labour Service. At first it was voluntary, but from 1935 it was compulsory for all young men to serve 6 months in the RAD. Most were uniformed and they were given work to build autobahns, public buildings, and work in fields. And the biggest way the Nazis increased employment in 1933 to 1939 was rearmament. Hitler issued the 4-year plan in 1936. It meant that Germany could be prepared for war in 4 years. Government spending on rearmament increased. In just 6 years, between 1933 to 1939, 20 billion marks were spent into arms and weapons. German production of iron and steel also increased. And because naval blockades could affect Germany, German production of plastic increased by 460% in the 1930s to reduce the effect of naval blockades. The German army also grew from 100,000 in 1933 to 900,000 in 1939. As the army increased, so did demand for uniforms and weapons, and so this created a cycle of economic demand. The effects of these policies was that reduced unemployment from 4.8 million in 1933 to 0.5 million in 1939. However, these were very expensive, and some of the employment was also only achieved by reducing the effect of women and Jews in the unemployment count.